Okay, is the term Latinx dying? In 2016, we were seeing the term everywhere.
The word Latinx has become more popular.
Latinx.
Latinx.
Have you heard of the term Latinx?
The term appeared in academic journals, government websites, articles, and in everyday conversation.
Latinx is preferred by some US-born Latinos.
I'm a proud Latinx.
What the hell is a Latinx?
It's a person of Latin American origin or descent used as a gender-neutral or non-binary alternative to Latino or Latina.
Universities even used it for their graduation ceremonies. Here's a clip from UC Santa Cruz's 2019 graduation ceremony.
Thank you to El Centro Chicanx Latinx Resource Center for the invitation.
But take a look at this clip from the 2026 ceremony.
Trabajo para el Centro de Recursos para Estudiantes Chicanos y Latinos.
Tengo el privilegio de ser la directora del Centro de Recursos para Estudiantes Chicanos y Latinos.
What do you notice? You'll be hard-pressed to hear the Latinx branding that dominated the Latino commencement ceremony just a few years ago. And it's not the only university it's happened at. Multiple universities have rebranded their ceremonies. Is this part of a larger trend or an isolated incident?
Among your friends, like what term do you hear the most?
Latino, Latina.
Why are some people falling out of love with the term Latinx?
I don't know. I think people are kind of inventing things.
What term is replacing it? And where did the term come from in the first place? My name is Fernando, and this story is about the hyphen between Latinx and the United States. Okay, before we continue, make sure to subscribe to my channel to get more videos about US Latino culture. Got it? Done? Good. Okay, so I want to start this video with a story that explains why I'm making it. So when I first started this channel back in 2025, in the hyphen, I launched it with a video about Chicano English, a variety of standard American English spoken by a lot of Latinos. All of these people speak Chicano English.
Dude, come here.
We are actually gonna be heading to a family vacation really soon.
Because everyone already makes up everything. Why do I have to say things? They have their own literally telenovelas about it.
Well, in that video, a linguist I interviewed said this.
If all the people in power were Latinx folks who spoke Chicano English, then that would be the standard.
And I think you can imagine the types of comments I got. I received a lot of comments like these. I'd rather be called a slur than Latinx. Not Latinx, chale. I hate the word Latinx. It sounds like Kleenex. I wasn't totally surprised by the comments. See, before launching In The Hyphen, I spent 5 years working at NBC and Telemundo, so I was well aware of the reactions the term sometimes elicited in people. In 2024, Pew Research Center published results from a survey. It found that from 2019 to 2023, awareness of the term Latinx among Hispanics doubled, but only 4% said they used the term.
3 out of 4 who have heard the term say it should not be used to describe the Hispanic population.
I wanted to see how Latinos in the US felt about the term in 2026. But before getting there, let's do a quick primer. Where did the term come from?
This term has roots in the early 2000s when Latinos started to use it. Queer Latinos began to use it on message boards and online blogs.
It was created in an attempt to make the Spanish language more inclusive and less gendered.
The term's exact roots are difficult to trace, but one event in the United States reportedly marked an increase in its use. Here's Jean Guerrero, a former LA Times columnist and current journalism professor at the University of Southern California, where, full disclosure, I work as an adjunct instructor.
After the 2016 Orlando shooting, the massacre in which 49 mostly queer Latinos were targeted, and it was meant as a form of empowerment and as a form of representation.
In the run-up to the 2020 election, we saw some politicians fully embrace the term.
This is Latinx voters, Latinx community,
Latinx,
Latino, a Latinx person.
And some Latinos did too.
I'm not just pigeonholing myself into one culture or one specific ethnicity. I definitely believe that as a Latinx person, I'm more than just one stereotype or one definition.
Latinx is nothing but an invitation for anyone that has ever felt left out of the Latino community, right? And as I see it in this moment, it is the only word in the dictionary and in our language that at least attempts to create the image of who the 60 million Latinos of us are.
But the conversation around the word Latinx almost immediately turned to whether or not we should be using the term.
Do you know about the Latinx thing? I didn't know that was a thing.
I personally don't identify with the term Latinx just because I don't think it reflects who I am. You know, I think it's an attempt to anglicize.
I think it's completely disrespectful to my first language is Spanish. It's a gender-based language, and to be calling someone Latino, Latinx, or was another one Chicana or Chicanx, that's wrong.
Here's this video from 2019 from BuzzFeed's Pero Like, a channel covering Latino issues and culture.
Latino or Latinx? It's been conversation in our comments on Pero Like. It's been a conversation all over, and it's something that I would love to hear your personal stories and how you identify.
I'm more Latino. I'm not against Latinx at all or anything like that, but I just think like in this world, there's so many labels that are put on everything. Like it's inevitable, and sometimes these labels can help, sometimes they can't help. I grew up like I'm a Latina. I know what my identity is, and I think that Latinx was something that was created just for people that don't feel like they have a support system or are lost or, you know, need an identity or anything. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I just think it's confusing. It separates you instead of uniting you as a Latin community.
In 2022, LA Times columnist Jean Guerrero wrote, "We don't need to be pitted against one another, Latino versus Latinx. That's exactly what far-right forces would like." The fight against the term crystallized in 2023. I'll tell you how in a second, but first I want to tell you something else. If you're still watching this video, I hope it means you enjoy my reporting. Well, if you want more of it delivered to your inbox, consider subscribing to my newsletter In The Hyphen. It's delivered every other week and features the latest on US Latino culture and trends, and it's completely free to sign up for. The link to subscribe is in the description. All right, back to the video. In 2023, Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders signed an executive order banning the term Latinx from government documents, calling it a move to, quote, respect the Latino community by eliminating culturally insensitive words, end quote.
According to research, only 3% of American Latinos and Hispanics use the word Latinx to describe themselves. Yet during the transition, we found numerous instances of departments embracing the use of this term. And today we are rejecting its use in state government in all documents.
Weeks later,
a group of Latino lawmakers in Connecticut are calling for a statewide ban of the term Latinx.
5 Latino Democrat Connecticut legislators argued the term Latinx was a woke term that was offensive to the Puerto Rican community.
Are all Puerto Rican Latino elected officials here in the state of Connecticut who all find the term offensive, and it's a term that we believe is unnecessary because the Spanish language, which is 1,500 plus years old, already identifies male, female, and neutral and neutrality. So we don't believe that it's necessary. If you don't like the word Latino or Latina, you can use Latin or Latino, which is what the proper term is for neutral gender.
And if you think it was just part of right-wing backlash against the term, well, in 2024, we started seeing some left-wing cities and organizations take action against the term as well. In San Francisco, a bastion of progressive politics and gender inclusion, the San Francisco AIDS Foundation published this article explaining why it was ending use of the term Latinx. It said it was no longer using Latinx in response to the fluid nature of language and the changing way staff and community members identify, saying the term had been criticized as a term used in Ivy League tower settings, but not everyday language. The organization said the X ending did not conform to Spanish grammar and was difficult to pronounce in Spanish. It also pointed to low use of the term among surveyed Latinos. In 2025, during a podcast interview with Charlie Kirk, where California Governor Gavin Newsom was trying to distance himself from so-called woke policies, he said this.
You said 2020 is when you started to see the Democrats sort of
advanced this notion of wokeism.
It's when the awakening
really started. What was it?
You know what I'm talking about.
No, but so is it? Yes, the Latinx stuff. That, by the way, not one person ever in my office has ever used the word Latinx.
So can we finally put that to bed?
Yeah,
we agree?
but where did that even?
No
go?
more Latinx, everybody.
Well, I just didn't even know where it came from.
But just a couple of years earlier, Newsom was saying this.
I hope we can really paint a picture in terms of our consciousness of how impactful this has been on the Latinx community. The Latinx and Black communities. You've got politicians that are banning not assault rifles, but the word Latinx. They're not even serious.
So is the term really dying, or is it just a case of news headlines being louder than what's actually happening at the ground level? I decided to go out in the streets of San Francisco and Los Angeles to ask Latinos their thoughts. If the term was really dying down in these progressive capitals, I figured it probably signaled that the term was dying, or maybe even had already died, in more conservative areas of the country. But first, I wanted to hear how the people I interviewed described themselves.
Latino. Describe myself?
Yeah.
Hispanic.
I say Latino or Latina.
I typically like to say Chicana or Latina.
Well, initially I'll say Mexican. That's my first thing.
I was born in Mexico City. And for me, my best way to define me is by being Mexican.
I say either Mexican or Chicano.
I say I'm Mexican.
Complex question. I guess I usually would say Latina. Chilean American.
You know, for me, it'd be more, I identify as Chicano.
I was also curious to hear where they first heard the term Latinx.
I think in college, I was exposed to it a little more because it wasn't part of my vocabulary growing up.
I'd say somewhere in like 2017, 2018, and in school, like in academic context.
And then came the question I was really curious about. Whether or not they use the term, how do they feel about the word Latinx?
I don't really care for it much. I think that's kind of a new age type of term.
I don't mind the term Latinx. I just personally don't use it too much, if I'm being honest.
For me, even Chicano, right, is a chosen identity. And I think that if folks want to choose to identify themselves as Latine, Latinx, or whatever makes them comfortable, I'm open to that as well.
I want to say I've heard that like when I was going to university, but never in circles I've been in.
I think it's interesting. I mean, also complex feeling for me as somebody that isn't actually Spanish speaking. So there's like a lot of complex feelings I have within that I don't really feel like it's like for me to say necessarily, I guess. But I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to be more inclusive generally.
Growing up, we never used that term, so it's just not something that's in my vocabulary.
The Latinx, it never really clicked with me personally, but to each their own, you know?
So were people just abandoning any effort to include gender non-conforming individuals? Not necessarily. The San Francisco AIDS Foundation I mentioned earlier said it will use terms like trans Latinas in some cases and the gender-inclusive term Latine wherever it makes sense, arguing it abides by norms for other gender-neutral nouns in Spanish. In some materials, UC Santa Cruz is using the term Latine as well for its graduation ceremony for Hispanic and Latino students. And other universities have done something similar.
I appreciate the feeling of inclusivity with the Latinx, but I just never really liked how it sounded. But I appreciate the inclusivity with Latine.
But the term Latine also throws some people off.
I've grown up using the word Latino, Latina, and I've never had anybody take offense to it. Never grew up with anything like that. So I just personally, I think it's just people inventing stuff and making it bigger than what it needs to be.
And I have students who said, no, I'm Salvadorian, I'm Ecuadorian. You know, it's like having Latinos being in one big, category doesn't suit us. And I don't agree with that. I mean, part of the LGBTQ community as well myself, I understand that Latine might be kind of the most kind of like open for any kind of, not being so generic, but still, I think it's still a very small and narrow way to call us.
One comment that has come up a lot in conversations around Latinx, whether or not we should use it, is people who say, it's not that deep. It's just a term. We don't need to be talking about how we describe Latinos in the United States.
I don't think it's just a term. I guess people can identify that. It's up to them, of course, you know, at the end of the day, to choose what you want to use. Pero for me, I don't use that word.
No, I think there are other arguments that are better. I don't think that is a valid argument. Because I do think language really matters.
Imposing a term on a person seems kind of like harsh to me. So I'm a person that doesn't like to be told what to do, so it wouldn't sit well with me.
Now, a big caveat here, the interviews I conducted were all in California, and a lot of them ended up being Mexican-American people. So this is really just a slice of the Latino population, of course. So now I'm really curious. Do you think the term Latinx is dying? What term or terms do you use? And how do you feel about the word Latina? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. By the way, if you enjoyed it, you might also like this other video I made.